I used to replay the worst moments in my life like it was security footage, and I used to conclude every time that I was the common problem. And then I realized that I wasn't really watching reality. I was watching some rigged highlight reel. So I recently went through a narcissistic relationship, and it would go toe to toe with any other crazy narcissistic relationship you've heard of. It was really bad, and it nuked my reputation, my finances, and even my contact with my kids. And it went on for 8 months. It was absolutely horrific. And for all that time, for those 18 months, I felt like every setback that I was experiencing, that somehow I deserved it. It was like this pre-programmed thing in my head that I was constantly looking for ways that I was wrong or broken or messed up. And the turning point for me was realizing that the pain that I was feeling, it was real, but the story behind it was completely in my head and it had very little to do with reality. So if you're like me and you want to live the best life that you can, and you want to feel good, you want to be doing the things that you want to do, reaching your highest potential, then I want to share 3 of the mind programs that I found to be most valuable, and I've learned them relatively recently. So I want to share with you exactly what they are and why they're so powerful. So the first mind program to practice is separating the truth from the story. And the thing is, so much of our lives are the stories that we tell ourselves. We have this past, we have memories, we have an interpretation on those memories. We are the way that we are because of X, Y, and Z. And this is just the way that I am, and it's the way that I've always been, and that's the way that she's always been. And that can really stop us from seeing things as they actually are. And once you master this skill, and it really does take some time, once you master it though, and you gain the ability to free yourself from your story, then you simultaneously gain the ability to write the story that you want. So I'll give you an example. If you were to watch a movie and it opens the scene and you're seeing this person, this guy, let's say, and he is in a ditch somewhere and he's drunk and he's knocked out and he looks awful, and there's this sort of epic-y sort of music coming in and the camera zooms in and you see like this crumpled human being in a ditch. You know that there's 2 hours left of the film and that maybe this film is about him, and maybe you've got a sense of how things are going to turn out. Now, hopefully you don't know the entire story, otherwise that'd defeat the purpose of the movie, but you know that things turn out in a way that's going to be interesting, right? And so even though you're starting off at this moment where he's low and in a ditch and like, does it get any worse than that? You know that things are going to pick up. And so your frame around this is that, gosh, that's a really low point for this individual. I wonder how things turn out. Like, I wonder how he figures out whatever he's going to figure out to make things interesting and to discover who he is or whatever it is. But that frame is so important. And in that moment, right, if that were a real situation, in that moment, it could be that. It could very well be that his story is, this is his low point and he's going to rise out of it. Or it could be he's a loser and that's how he's always been and that's how he's always going to be, and there's nothing interesting to see here, folks. Keep walking. You see, and neither one of them is written in stone. But I think that, there's that quote that I'm going to butcher right now, but it's, we're actually afraid of our light rather than our darkness. We're afraid of how powerful that we are. And that never really made sense to me. But in this context, I can see it. Because how scary is it if you're in a difficult situation, as I am, as I've been, as many of us have been, and to think that, you know what, actually I've got so much control over this. I can legitimately choose to believe that this is a phase that I'm going to learn through and I'm going to grow through and I'm going to come out the other side and things are going to work out beyond my wildest dreams. And I don't mean to say that you're delusional about this and, magically things are going to work out and I'm going to manifest, everything that I want and it's going to be effortless. You're not delusional like that. You're not naive. But you can choose to ground yourself in that and then do what is necessary to make that happen, which is really hard. Easier said than done, but that it is within our capacity, and that's the power of story. And the second mind program is sort of linked to this, and it's humility and teachability. So when I was in Siberia and I was a missionary for the Mormon church, and I would talk with, thousands of people and talk with them about all sorts of things, usually important things. I try to get to important topics like the meaning of life and, how deeply, how are things going with you? And I started to realize, it took me about a year or so before I had this thought that came to me. At the time I was 20 years old, and I realized teachability is the most important trait. That's what I thought back then. I still think it's really important. It's one of my mind programs now, but it's the ability to take in information and change, course correct yourself. And I think this is linked to the story problem, right? Because if you've calcified yourself into this narrative of who you've been and who you are and who you're going to be, then you're not teachable. You're not humble. Look, we've all had like some kind of a victim mindset and like, oh, woe is me and all. Like, I've definitely done that before. And we tend not to think of ourselves as like prideful and full of ourselves in that moment, because it kind of feels good to be like, oh, I'm just this victim of circumstance. But actually, it's pretty prideful to hold on to a story, because what you're saying is that in the realm of infinite possibilities of all the stuff that could happen, like, you know how this is all going to turn out. It's like, it takes a bit of hubris, doesn't it, to assume that you've got it figured out and that you know what things are possible and what's not. So teachability or humility, that's an enormous one. It opens yourself up. You become like a child and you become malleable, right? If you were to look at this in terms of a computer, right? Like, maybe there's a program that's got all sorts of permissions on it, and like you can't get into the source code, you can't type anything out, and it's just like this, again, calcified sort of state. Then it's like not useless, but it's gonna be, if not now, soon, when it gets outdated, because life evolves, life changes, and the more amenable that we can make ourselves to change and grow, then we can rise to meet the challenges. And like all the other programs that we can talk about, and there's a bunch, they're all within your grasp. Like, you can grab them all, and if you don't have that, you kind of can't touch any of them. So that's a critical one. And the third and final mind program that I would say is very high value is that pain is not optional. So it's a belief, but it's a program. Pain is not optional. This goes back to a Buddhist idea. And the reason why this is powerful is, if you think that pain is optional, maybe you've never said those words before or thought that thought before, but so many people, I've noticed, myself included, a lot of our actions are to the ends of avoiding pain, right? In any way that we can, any discomfort. And it's shocking how much of our effort is spent doing that. How many of the purchases that we make, the decisions that we make, what we choose to say and not say. Oh, I don't want to say that because I might hurt her feelings, or it might be uncomfortable, or whatever it is. Or I don't want to go to the gym. That's a bit of an obvious one. But pain, if you really sit with it, it's like the epicenter of our existence, and we kind of do anything, we contort ourselves to try to avoid it. And all of that is based, that underneath those actions is a belief that pain's optional, that you can escape it. You just need to figure out the ways to do it, and you just need to buy the thing or not do the thing, whatever it is. And as soon as you release that, like, sometimes I get up in the morning and like, I know I've got hard stuff to do, and I know that there are things to do that I would rather not do, and that I'm not going to be able to achieve my goals unless I do the things that I really don't want to do. And so when I go at my day and I have the expectation very concretely that I'm going to be uncomfortable for a good chunk of today, if I just have that as my baseline, then paradoxically I can relax, because I don't have to worry about trying to do this impossible thing, which is avoid pain, which, like, I haven't been able to do, not very successfully, not my whole life. Like, I haven't had a good day where I've actually avoided a bunch of pain, and at the other end of it, I come out going, wow, it was an amazing day. Very few. And so once you let go of this idea that pain is optional, then it's like, well, what pain do you want to experience, and why? Like, what's the purpose of it? And is this worth it? And like, those are valuable questions. And all of a sudden you go from this passive being that things happen to, and you're constantly trying to avoid, to now actively engaging. And it's like, all right, life with all of its problems, I'm going to experience pain. Which one am I going to experience? And then things actually start opening up to you. And then you can consciously choose that, right, this thing is worth it because of X, Y, and Z reasons. And this pain, that's useless pain. I don't want to deal with that. And so then you get rid of that one, but it's not avoiding it because of the pain. So you start to be able to discern that there are different types of pain. And then you start to be able to use your pain, and you be able to use the pain to help you focus. I should make a whole video on this, because as like dark, I suppose, as this topic is, I think it's been one of the most incredible value unlocks for me, is how to relate to pain and what it can give and what it can teach you. I hope that you found this valuable, and if you like the idea of mind programs, as I do, I made another video about this, and the video that I made is how you can figure out what mind programs that other people are running in their minds, and it's without having some kind of a deep conversation with them. Like, there are things that they can say that will immediately let you know what programs that they're running. So if that's something that's interesting to you, I'm going to link the video up above. Go ahead and check it out.